before starting the debate. So this debate and the projection was a co-organization between the Portuguese Association for the Basic Income and Moving Docs. So we have to thank as well ISEG, so the Lisbon School of Economics and Management, as well as the partners of Moving Docs across Europe. So Hello to Against Gravity in Poland, Autlook in Austria, Berlin Documentary Film Club in Germany, CineDoc in Greece, Doc Lounge in Sweden, DocsBarcelona in Spain, ESADE New Notions Cinema in Northern Ireland, Take One Action Film Festival in Scotland, and EDN in Denmark. So thank you very much to all of these partners. I'm Jorge Pinto. I'll be coordinating here the debate, and we have with us Christian Todd, who is an economist but a movie director as well. We have Sara, Bizzaro, a philosopher working with basic income, and we have Scott Santens, a very famous promoter of basic income idea. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, as I said, so if one of you is watching and wants to share, please feel free to do so. So I will start posing a question to Christian. You've been in different countries, different continents, very, very different approaches to basic income, from libertarian ones to ones focused on a specific idea of eradication poverty, for example, in Namibia. Is there a specific case that, in your opinion, was more touching or something that told you, okay, this is the reason why we need to implement a basic income?
Yes, there certainly is, but let me first thank you all for attending the free lunch screening instead of heading off for dinner. And I have to tell one more thing. This is the short version of this film, the 50 minutes version. The original cut is 95 minutes, so there's obviously a huge part missing. But to your question, what really impressed me most, I think, was Namibia, Ochiviero. Being there for a week, spending a week with these people and seeing how they live. I have to say, I had prejudices, but I thought it was kind of very poor, like a slum. But I felt really good there. Louder? Okay. But it was really great to be there and to live with those people who, as the bishop said, really changed, gained self-confidence and stand before people, stand before crowds and say what they have to say. So I would choose Namibia if you ask me.
Okay, thank you very much. So I propose that we go now for a very short round of questions that I pose to the people here in the panel, and then we open the debate both with you and those following via Facebook. So, Sara, I'd like to ask you, at some moment in the documentary, in the very beginning actually, it is said that one of the advantages of the basic income is that it can be implemented on a step-by-step basis. Would you defend such an approach, or you think that we should aim immediately to a bigger and stronger case for a basic income?
Hi. I think it depends on the specific reality in each country. And I am not against step-by-step, starting small and growing. Depends, I think, in the basic income the advocacy. I think there's kind of you should do the best you can, so that as high as possible. But if it's not possible, then you start somewhere and then you work from there.
Okay, thank you. And Scott, I guess most of the people following us here in the room and definitely online know your work. So you are a big promoter online of basic income. You are the responsible for the channel or thread, correct me, I don't know exactly the name it has, of basic income on Reddit. And what is your approach to promote basic income? So how can you adapt the narrative knowing that you are directing your message to such a big range of people, definitely all of them defending somehow a different version of basic income. So how, if you do so, do you adapt your narrative according to the people you are approaching?
Yeah, so I think it's the way that I look at this is that it's important to speak the language of the people that you're interacting with. You cannot reach them if you're not even listening to them. and you have to figure out how it is that they're coming at this from. So that's why there's not really just one way to talk about basic income, because people support it for so many different reasons. And if you introduce the idea with a specific reason that you feel is best, and then the person you're speaking with can actually reflect against that, and it can immediately dislike the idea because you approached it in the wrong way. And then the worst thing you could do is actually to even like argue over, like, say, you know, how do you not understand this? This is my way. And there's like a blockage there. So when I say basic income is not left or right, it's forward, I'm saying that you need to really accept that it's okay for people to like it for different reasons than you like it. And if you have an open mind and an open ears and you're actually listening to them, then it's possible to actually reach them. So I don't judge people for the ways that they like basic income. I actually welcome hearing reason after reason after reason why they like basic income. In fact, I think that's actually a really interesting way of looking at basic income itself, is that basic income isn't just money. Money is the language that conveys the meaning of basic income. You could say that basic income on Earth has over 7 billion meanings, because really what basic income is an answer to the question, what is it that you're not doing in your life because you don't start each day with enough money to live? And there's billions of different answers to that question. And so it's important that we get people thinking about what is the answer to that question for them, and that we accept all of those as valid, and that we're all in this together. It's not one way or my way or the highway kind of situation. We just need to be open to that. And so I feel that's one of the ways I've been able to reach so many people, is that I'm open to so many people.
Okay, thank you very much. So I propose now to collect some 3 questions. I ask you to be very, very, very synthetic. If you can do it in 10 seconds, better. So I see 2 ladies there and Clive down here. So
Hello, my name is Anna. I want to know why the film is showing only men commenting and explaining the basic income. I think this is not right. We are not in the 19th century anymore.
This is obviously a big issue with this version. I really had a big problem with that too. We had to cut 45 minutes of the original version, and unfortunately, the parts that were cut were the big part about the history of the US, of the basic income in the United States, where Francis Fox Piven played an essential role as an expert and an interview partner. And what is not included in this version is also a North American part, Evelyn Fauché, who was the expert on the Mincome experiment in Dauphin. So there were, my 2 female editors, but no. It was a decision for all of us. But the thing, it was really, we had to exclude some parts thematically, yeah? And
sorry.
No, we had to exclude the US historic part, which is actually my favorite part. And yes, I know it's a problem with this version of the film. But it's different in the original cuts of the film, which you actually should see. We only showed the short version here because we didn't have. No.
Yes, your question, please.
Katarina, and I would like to ask 2 very quick questions. Sorry. The first one would be if, in your opinion, you think within the context of the European Union and the Monetary Union, you think it's possible to implement something like this. And the other question would be if you think that it can legitimize the accumulation of capital by companies and also the decreasing wages for workers. Because you talked a little bit about that in the movie, about the way we decouple income from work, but I think that it can have that kind of threat. So I would like to know your opinion about both. Thank you.
Okay, we just take then another question, then we can answer. Yeah. Okay, so we take the two and then we answer. So, yes. Very quick, please.
Yes, thank you for that film. It's obviously, you know, it is extremely useful for people, but as you probably gather, there is a but coming. Now, as I don't know how close it is. Sorry, I need a bit closer. Is that better? Right. Yes, I've been talking about the basic income for 44 years. I didn't know it was called the basic income because I invented it myself for a rather different reason for everybody else. I am a founder member of the Green Party in the United Kingdom. And we had just listened to a study called Limits to Growth by the MIT, published in 1972, which said we got to get to end growth, because if we didn't, it would end itself, and that would be rather nasty. So we would have to got to do something to prevent economic growth. I challenged the founder members, and one of the founder members said to me, I said, look, what are you going to do with this deep recession? Oh, we wouldn't call it a deep recession, we'd call it a steady state economy. Well, no, come on, it's going to be like a recession, and people are going to get desperate, and if necessary, they'll steal things and what have you. You know, people get desperate in this way. Look, if we have to, we will shoot people in the street. This was a founder member of the Green Party. We shall shoot people in the street because you're not going to help the vulnerable people you're talking about unless we save the economy, unless we preserve the ecosphere. Now, that's a phrase people don't use nowadays. Right. You'd better find a better answer than martial law. Now, this is what I came up with. And I had my green T-shirt, which had my blog site on, which, incidentally, I know that Scott Santens has seen it, so I'd like his comments on this. But the point is, the first and foremost reason for me for a basic income is to give everybody an incentive to protect the ecosphere, from the poorest to the CEO of ExxonMobil, right? Now, as I say, I agree with everything everybody's said so far. It just isn't as important as saving the ecosphere. I'm sorry, there wasn't anything about that in your film. Please put it in your next film. And I'd be interested in everybody's comments on this aspect.
Thank you, Clive. So we can take then one question here, and then on a second round, yes, goes out. No, the lady there, please.
Hello, my name is Rena Masuyama. I am also a filmmaker and make the movie about basic income. And my question is this. In this movie, you didn't write about the negative point about basic income. And do you have something different, negative point? The cut today is short version. So original is more long part. Do you include some different negative opinion or negative point? That is because I also worry about how to mix in my movie too. So please answer.
Okay, thank you very much. So Scott, I don't know if you want to answer maybe the question about the accumulation, or any of the other questions that was not directly.
I can do the earlier question, I believe. I can't remember the first two parts, but I know one was about the wages. And so I think this is actually a very important aspect of basic income, where and this was covered in the documentary. But it's not only, it's the power to say no, and it's also the power to say yes. The power to say no means that for low demand jobs that people don't want to work in, that they're going to have to get paid more in order to do that job, or it will be automated. And as far as the ability, the power to say yes, that means that for high demand jobs, for jobs that people really want to do, that they can potentially pay less or not have to worry about paying people as much, and can even allow people to work for free, which is something that I think is really important for, let's say, if you're looking at like a startup kind of company, where let's say you would need to get like financing in order to make sure that people have enough money to live, to work on this project for like 6 months or a year or whatever. And instead those people could say, hey, I would work for free, and what I'll do it for just a percentage of like the income once it becomes profitable. And so it's really interesting to look at this as far as the ability it has to raise wages on this work that we don't like and allow us to do more of the work that we do like. And so people worry about wages going down as being like a wage subsidy kind of thing, like EITC, and it's not like that. It doesn't operate in the same way because EITC requires people to earn income in order to get it. But because the basic income is unconditional, as long as it's unconditional, which is where the true power comes from, then it enables people to have that bargaining power.
And the whole thing about basic income, it is not a redistribution of money. It's, in the end, it's a redistribution of power. More power to everybody. And this is, for me, actually, the basic, one of the two basic reasons to why we need to have a basic income. And all the other matters, like ecology, whatever, can be carried out way better when everybody has a basic income first. Then people have time to think, people have time to actively participate in politics. They can do it 100% of the time if they like. They can become researchers and develop new technologies to help us grow by at the same time using less and less resources. That's possible. Economic growth has nothing to do with using resources. It's just a number. It's just money, actually. It's very abstract. So when you think economic growth as what it is, not using more and more resources, but actually less by having better and better technology, you can approach that goal. But these are certain issues which were being discussed today and yesterday and then every time when I'm attending conferences of this sort that have to do with basic income, because everything has to do with basic income. We need basic income first, and then, like Adam Smith's invisible hand, I really think that everything will be fine, and we're approaching a Star Trek kind of utopia eventually. Yeah, the issue about there are no negative voices or no voices really opposing basic income. First thing is there are so many different opinions here in the room, here at the conference, on how a basic income should look like. And people, when they watch this movie or when they go to the theater, especially to the long version, they have their prejudices. They have some idea about this notion of basic income, but they really, I think, have their own prejudices and have their ideas why it couldn't work, what's the problem about it, and I give them the answer. It's not like journalism. It's a movie. And the first thing this movie should achieve is to be entertaining, to learn something, of course, but the main objective is that you leave the theater and you have hope again. You want to change the world, you want to tell your friends, you want to discuss those topics with your friends after the movie. You want to read books then, or want to discuss it in your family. This movie is just like, it's only a Kickstarter to get people in the right mood, to tune in a different reality tunnel and make them think of what humans are capable of, other than going to work, reproducing, going to work, teach the children to reproduce and live the same way, and so on.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if you heard Enno Schmid today. He was talking about that a little bit, about us as advocates. We can put the idea out there and let other people think about it. If you present it as something to be argued, you know, this person thinks this one thinks is against, and so forth, that might not actually, that might lead people to, you know, see it in that way. So if it's just inspiring and then you go out and you speak to your friends, of course they're going to say other things, but at least you see it as an inspiring idea, you know, and then spread it out, and then everybody's going to have their opinion. I think it's a good way to present it like this for a movie. Of course, if you are in another context, you will have to debate specifics if you want to, but for a movie, I think it's very good. And I just want to say regarding, are the people, the women here still? I saw the longer version, and Christian really wanted to show the longer version, and we're sorry we didn't do that, because after a full day of conferences, we just thought it was too much to do the whole, you know, the whole movie and then discussion. So it's true, what he's saying is true. There's a lot of other parts, and I think they were very long, and so you had to, if you want to cut something, those were the parts that needed to go so the movie can make sense. So anyway.
Can I get
yes,
okay.
Go ahead.
I wanted to get Clive's question too, because I think it's really important. I would say basic income to me is a civilizational idea. As in, I don't think that human civilization can survive without adopting basic income. I think it's that important. And one of the reasons why it's so important is because of climate change. And the thing about climate change is that as long as we need to earn money in order to live, we're going to earn money in order to live however ways that we can. And of course, then you've got people who are saying that they care about the climate, and they're working at like Exxon or something, because they have to. And so I trust people that once they have a basic income, that they can really start to begin to think about things differently. And once they have that space to think, then we can really start to tackle climate change. And especially with basic income, we can, you know, when we're talking about funding, is there's so much potential in the funding, we can say that, oh, well, we've decided we want a basic income, so let's do an annually rising carbon tax, and let's just keep raising that year after year after year after year. You know, there's so much potential there. And I think that if we only talk about, or if we focus on climate change as being the main issue for basic income, I don't think that reaches people as well as trusting them to actually focus on that once they have it. So I just think it's really important just in general to have basic income, and that because of that we'll actually be able to not wither away as a civilization.
Thank you, Scott. So we have already some questions on Facebook, so I will take now 2 or 3 questions from the room. I have one here, one there. I don't know if there's someone else, so please go ahead.
Thank you very much. This year, the title of the Congress is Implementing a Basic Income. And especially today, during 2 sessions, we discussed a lot how to convince the mass, how to convince the people. And it looks like it's a very good, well-prepared and compact tool to convince the mass. What are your plans? What are your plans? I mean, what was your motivation, practical motivation? How to utilize this to convince the people, to convince the mass? I mean, whether I'm clear or not, I am not sure, but my point is how this film can be used in public awareness campaigns all through the world. Or do you have any plans? Do you have any proposals?
Thank you. Gonçalo, you have a question there?
My name is Raimund Acker. I'm from the German Netzwerk Grundeinkommen. I have a real practical question. We get a couple of mails now from our members who kind of organize previews of this film, and I remember we did a similar thing with the older film from Daniel Heli and Enno Schmidt, Grundeinkommen, and what we found out is that when the end of the film was read, people had more questions than what they came with. So it turned out to be very useful to organize, talks for the possibility of common talks with the guys who were in the film, and I could imagine that we could kind of organize things like that. I have a lot of expert volunteers who would really go into these things and talk with people and don't let them alone with strange ideas and so on. So maybe we can organize something like that, and maybe also for other countries. And I think there are a lot of other people here who would possibly do the same thing.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Go ahead, please. Yes.
I've seen the long version, and the arguments were very good of the woman who also spoke about. I'm sorry it is not in it now, but I can understand when you have to miss or take out all the whole part of it. You can't take one woman out and then put it again in and so on. But you have said it's for you it's not only something that you get money, but also redistribution of power. And I think it makes the people free to think over many problems and also work on it. When the basic income is high enough, they can live from, and then they also can take part into participating and altering our Gesellschaft, don't know, society. And I think you have also in it, you could be a better health because of the people who are discussing and get control of our life again back, and there would be more democracy. And I think there are many sorts of basic income, and it's to discuss afterwards. You always can go with friends to see the film, and then you discuss it.
Thank you. So if someone is below 15 seconds, because already we are late, I see 2 hands, 3 hands, so it's a bit unfair from my side. I have to go to the first person that has requested, so there in the back. Yes, but please keep it short because we still have the Facebook questions.
Okay, thank you for the film and your interventions. I want to get a little bit personal. So, suppose we already did it. Everybody has a basic income in Earth. What will you do tomorrow if every human's income were taken care of?
Okay, thank you. So, I will just pick 2 questions from the comments to the live stream. I don't think they are to any of you in particular. So basically the first one is, what is in your opinion the single most critical obstacle modern societies need to overcome to make basic income happen? And the second one is, what would be an acceptable level for the basic income? So there you go, you have a lot of things to answer. All of you can just pick some of the questions and answer them.
Maybe I'll start with the technical things when it comes to when is the movie shown and should there somebody be there afterwards to talk to people? Yes, definitely. At every festival this film is shown. I try to be there, I try to be here, I try to travel around with the film, And it's not only me, it's all the local basic income initiatives, all the national basic income members of PN who are organizing talks and doing all this stuff. But I would really welcome if we could work together on this, because the theatrical release in Germany is going to be in January 2018, and there's still lots of work to do to organize screenings and special screenings with you, maybe. And was this a question to all of us or just for me? Like what? Yeah.
I would ask this question for everybody, but
yeah. Okay, I can keep it short, or I wouldn't change a thing, but I would be like the lottery winner. I would be more relaxed if I had the safety net, especially as an artist, as a filmmaker. I wouldn't have to hurry. I wouldn't have to take on side projects just to earn a living, but could really concentrate as long as it takes on a topic, on a film. Yeah, I think that's it. Well, I missed so many questions. This was also about like bringing the movie to audiences and yeah, how to reach the mass. That's if possible, we have a world sales agency, and if possible, we sell the movie to distributors around the world, where it will be shown in cinemas. It's being shown on festivals. It's selling to television, and probably to Netflix, and it looks good with the US distribution. So it's not that bad, but at the end of the day, it's very difficult to reach huge audiences with a documentary in cinemas. So you have to really be. It's really a success if you have 10,000 to 20,000 people in Austria. You're the third most successful movie in the year. So you see the levels of like. It's not so many people who see documentaries, unfortunately, but since this is an international topic, I think 20,000 people in each country would be good to really start a revolution, I guess, to have a foundation of people tuning into this idea.
Okay, thank you. Sara, if you want to say something before we close the session? You are not forced to.
Questions?
Yes, from the questions, if possible. Otherwise, just.
If I had a basic income tomorrow, for now, I would work full time on advocating for other social issues, and then when I felt like everything was getting better, I would start thinking about other things.
Okay, perfect. And Scott, I think there were some questions that you can answer, but feel free as well just to
right.
some closing
So
remarks.
let's see. What is the proper level of basic income? So this is a question that will vary from country to country. It's up to each country to decide, and it's something that I also feel is not as important as people think it is. I'm not saying it's not important, it's definitely important. But I think the most important part of basic income is that it's unconditional. I think that the next important part is that it's universal, that everybody gets it. And it needs to be money so that people can use it how they most want to use it. The amount is not as important. And I feel this because I have a basic income. And I've had one since January of 2016. I've crowdfunded it. So each month I start with $1,000 per month as my basic income, and I can earn on top of it, or I don't need to earn on top of it, I don't want to. I can choose the way that I want to work. But my experience was that the year prior to that was my process of growing that basic income. And at around $300 to $400 a month, I really felt this new sense of security. I think because it was enough, like in my mind or in the back of my mind, to cover food. I wasn't going to starve, no matter what. That was a big deal, and it was almost enough to cover rent. That was a big deal. So this feeling of security is such an important aspect of the unconditionality that is the most important part, and I think that people underestimate just how important that part is and focus a little bit too much on the amount. And what was the other question?
About the main obstacle or biggest obstacle right
yes. So again, the main obstacle is going to vary by country to country as well. And I would say that you know, one of the biggest obstacles that we have to overcome to get there is I would say our thinking that's so tribalistic in nature that we separate each other into these groups that don't need to actually exist, and so that even people who agree with each other can end up disagreeing. Like, I find that so odd when we're on the same side and we're both pro-basic income, this is both important to both of us, and yet arguments can still come up as far as, you know, you like it this way or you like it this way. So we need to be more united as a movement and more accepting of each other, both right and left, and whatever reason you want. If we can push together, then we're going to accomplish more than if we push divided and against each other. And to answer what would you do, I'm essentially already doing it, but I would certainly continue, because I think it's important that, let's say if it passed in the US tomorrow, that I would want other countries to have it as well, so I would continue pushing for other countries to have it as well. And then, let's say, if the entire world
already has basic income, what will you do tomorrow?
The entire world has it tomorrow. My passion actually is I would love being able to focus more on writing fiction. You know, I love science fiction, and I love the ability that enables people to think about things differently. And so I would write more of that instead of writing more of you know, what I'm doing right now, which is so nonfiction and economic and mathematical and this kind of thing.
Perfect. So I have to thank everyone. I thank Christian for the movie, Sara and Scott for being here with us to debate. Everyone in the room that stayed here for over 12 hours already today debating basic income. To the technicians here that have supported us, and to Moving Docs and the partners. So thank you all. Enjoy now the evening, and we are here for tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you.